Hey everyone, I'm here to help you relax and drift off tonight. If you enjoy using these videos to fall asleep, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more calming content. Share where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I'd love to know. Now settle into a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's start unwinding together. In the sleepy town of Aurora's Edge, nestled on the border between the ordinary and the enchanted, life was marked by the quiet rhythm of daily routines. Yet as twilight melted into night, an undercurrent of anticipation stirred among those who believed in the power of dreams. In a narrow lane behind the old clock tower, whispers of a market that traded in dreams began to circulate. Elderly folk recalled childhood nights when a strange, silvery mist rolled in from the distant hills, and young romantics swore they had seen shimmering figures carrying glowing orbs like precious treasures. No one could say exactly when the bazaar of slumbering whispers first appeared. Some said it was as old as time, a secret gift from the gods. Others claimed it was born from the collective yearning of a people who dared to dream beyond the boundaries of the mundane. Regardless of its origins, the market's legend grew with every passing generation, inspiring hope, wonder, and even a hint of mischief in those brave enough to follow its call. Among the villagers of Aurora's Edge was a young woman named Eleanor, whose nights were filled with vivid dreams and restless longing. By day, she worked in her family's modest bookshop, surrounded by stories of far-off lands and fantastical adventures. Yet, deep within her heart, Eleanor carried an unfulfilled desire to touch the intangible, to taste the magic of dreams in their purest form. The tales of the dream market had ignited her imagination, and on many a moonlit night, she would wander the quiet streets, hoping for a glimpse of that mysterious bazaar. One fateful evening, as a soft silver mist began to cloak the town and the stars unveiled their ancient secrets, Eleanor's heart pounded with anticipation. Following a series of subtle clues, an oddly placed lantern glowing with otherworldly light, a distant melody that sounded like whispered lullabies, she found herself at the threshold of a narrow alley she'd never noticed before. There, in the quiet murmur of midnight, the air shimmered with possibilities, and before her eyes a hidden portal slowly materialized. With a deep, steadying breath, she stepped through the veil, entering a world where dreams were not merely figments of the sleeping mind, but commodities traded like rare jewels. Eleanor found herself in a bustling market that defied all earthly descriptions. The bazaar of slumbering whispers sprawled across a cobblestone courtyard under an indigo sky, lit by floating lanterns that cast soft, shifting hues of blue, violet, and silver. Stalls fashioned from gnarled wood and draped in diaphanous fabrics lined the pathways, each one manned by enigmatic figures whose eyes glowed with gentle luminescence. The market was alive with activity, a vibrant tapestry of sound and color, where the chatter of vendors mingled with the hushed laughter of dreamers. As Eleanor wandered through the labyrinthine lanes, she marveled at the wondrous items on display. There were jars filled with swirling mists labeled childhood wonder, delicate vials of shimmering dust called midnight inspiration, and intricately carved totems that pulsed with ancient longing. Some stalls offered experiences rather than objects, a fleeting vision of a long-lost love, a brief taste of boundless adventure, or the soothing embrace of a forgotten lullaby. Every dream was meticulously cataloged and priced, its worth determined by its rarity, its emotional intensity, and the depth of its mystery. A vendor draped in a cloak of midnight and stars caught Eleanor's eye. With a gentle smile, he introduced himself as Marcellus, the keeper of dreams. "Welcome, seeker," he said in a voice that resonated like a melody from a distant past. "Every soul carries dreams within, but here we offer the opportunity to choose, to barter, and to become the master of your own destiny. What is it that you desire? Eleanor hesitated for a moment, her eyes scanning the myriad wonders before her. I wish to remember, she finally murmured, her voice trembling with both longing and uncertainty. I want to hold on to the dreams I once had, the ones that seemed to vanish with the morning light. Marcellus's eyes twinkled knowingly. Then you must choose wisely, he replied. For every dream you claim, a fragment of your soul will be touched by its magic, and you may find that in the echoes of what you reclaim, your life will be forever transformed. As the night deepened, Eleanor embarked on a journey through the market's treasures. She wandered from stall to stall, each one offering a glimpse into a different facet of human longing. At one booth, an elderly woman with silver hair sold echoes of lost childhood, tiny vials containing the sparkling essence of wonder and innocence. At another, a pair of twins with mischievous grins offered adventures yet unlived, dreams of exploration, daring escapades, and uncharted worlds waiting to be discovered. Intrigued by the promise of rekindled memories, Eleanor approached a stall draped in deep purple velvet. The sign above read, Reclaimed Reveries. The stall's keeper, a somber man with eyes that seemed to hold the weight of forgotten years, beckoned her closer. These are the dreams you have abandoned along your life's journey, he explained softly. Each one is a fragment of what you once believed possible. To reclaim them is to rediscover a part of yourself lost in the haze of time. Moved by his words, Eleanor perused the small, intricately crafted containers displayed on the stall. One in particular caught her eye, a delicate crystal bottle containing a swirling, opalescent mist that pulsed with gentle light. The label read, The Dream of First Love. As she cradled the bottle in her hands, a rush of memories flooded her senses. Laughter shared beneath the canopy of summer trees, the tender touch of a hand in the dark, and a promise whispered beneath the stars. In that moment, she felt as if the dream were not only hers to reclaim, but also a key to unlocking a part of her heart that had long been dormant. After a moment of quiet contemplation, Eleanor exchanged a small, intricately carved token, a keepsake passed down from her grandmother, for the crystal bottle. The transaction was silent and profound, as though the act itself carried the weight of ancient ritual. With the bottle safely tucked into her satchel, she continued to explore the myriad wonders of the bazaar. In the bazaar of slumbering whispers, every trade came with a cost, not measured solely in tokens or trinkets, but in the delicate balance of one's inner being. As the hours passed and the market's enchantment deepened, Eleanor encountered other patrons, each with their own dreams to trade, each with stories of desires that had shaped their lives. Some exchanged bittersweet memories for the promise of future joy. Others bartered their fears in hopes of awakening dormant courage. At one corner of the market, a solitary figure in tattered robes peddled fragments of courage, each a tiny, radiant spark that could ignite the embers of a brave heart. Eleanor watched as a young man, eyes full of determination, yet shadowed by self-doubt, traded a cherished family heirloom for one of these shimmering fragments. The exchange was simple yet profound, a silent acknowledgement that true courage sometimes must be kindled from the remnants of past pain. In another exchange, a middle-aged woman with eyes like rain-soaked earth offered her memories of renewal in return for a promise, a vow to seek forgiveness for long-held grievances. The market was a microcosm of human experience, a place where every trade was a step toward healing and every bargain a path to rediscovering one's true self. Eleanor realized that the bazaar was not merely a repository of dreams, but a living, breathing testament to the endless capacity for growth, change, and redemption. As midnight approached and the bazaar of slumbering whispers thrummed with the energy of exchanged hopes and reclaimed memories, Eleanor was beckoned to a secluded pavilion at the far end of the market. There, under a canopy of softly glowing lanterns and surrounded by intricate mosaics depicting the cycle of night and day, she met the dream merchant, a figure of legend whose presence was said to determine the fate of those who dared to seek the ultimate dream. The dream merchant was draped in robes of shifting hues, his face obscured by a mask fashioned from moonlit silver. In a voice that resonated with both warmth and mystery, he offered Eleanor an invitation. "You have gathered fragments of your past," he intoned, "but now comes the moment to forge them into a new tapestry, a dream that can guide your future. What is the dream you seek to create?" Eleanor's mind swirled with the images of reclaimed love, lost wonder, and the unspoken hopes that had always lingered at the edges of her heart. With trembling sincerity, she replied, "I seek to dream of a life where the echoes of the past lead to a future of compassion, where the wounds of yesterday are healed by the promise of tomorrow." The dream merchant's masked eyes seemed to twinkle in silent acknowledgement. "Then you must be prepared to surrender a piece of your present," he warned. "For every dream forged in this sacred exchange, there is a sacrifice, a fleeting moment of now that must be relinquished to make room for what will be." Eleanor hesitated, weighing the cost against the promise. In that moment, she recognized that to embrace the fullness of her being, past, present, and future, she must be willing to let go of what no longer served her. With a steadying breath, she offered a cherished memento, a small locket containing a faded portrait of her late mother, a symbol of both love and loss. In exchange, the dream merchant handed her a delicate scroll inscribed with shimmering script, a blueprint for the dream she yearned to create. With the scroll clutched tightly in her hand, Eleanor retreated to a quiet glen at the edge of the market, where the gentle murmur of nocturnal life provided a soothing backdrop. Under the soft luminescence of a crescent moon, she unfurled the scroll upon a bed of moss and began to decipher its mystical verses. The script was fluid and ever-changing, as if written in a language born of both light and shadow. It spoke of transformation, renewal, and the delicate art of letting go, of surrendering fragments of the present to nurture a dream that could bridge the gap between what had been and what was yet to come. For hours, Eleanor labored, her mind and heart entwined in the ancient ritual of creation. As she inscribed her intentions onto the scroll with ink that glowed faintly like stardust, memories of her past mingled with visions of a hopeful future. In that timeless space between sleep and wakefulness, she felt as though she were channeling the collective yearning of all who had ever dared to dream. The process was both cathartic and painful, for with each word written, she relinquished a piece of the present. Yet as the first light of pre-dawn began to tinge the sky with blushes of rose and gold, the scroll's message crystallized into a luminous dream, a promise that the scars of yesterday could blossom into a future of healing, creativity, and boundless possibility. When the first rays of sunlight broke over Aurora's edge, the bazaar of slumbering whispers began to fade into the mists of the night. Eleanor, transformed by her journey through the market and the sacred ritual of dream weaving, emerged into a world reborn. The dream she had forged was not confined to parchment or whispered promises. It lived within her, a radiant beacon of hope that would guide her through the days to come. Returning to her village, Eleanor shared her experiences with those who had long carried their own unspoken sorrows and hidden aspirations. Her tale resonated deeply, inspiring others to seek out the magic of their inner dreams and to cherish the beauty of transformation. Slowly, Aurora's edge began to change. Neighbors greeted one another with new warmth, and the long-forgotten art of storytelling revived the town's communal spirit. The legend of the dream market, once a mere whisper, became a cherished reminder that even the most elusive desires could be captured, nurtured, and set free. Years passed, and Eleanor's journey through the bazaar of slumbering whispers evolved into a legacy shared by many. She became a guardian of dreams, a storyteller whose words carried the power to heal and transform. In a small hall above the village square, she established a sanctuary dedicated to the preservation of dreams, a place where people could gather, share their deepest hopes and fears, and learn to weave their own tapestries of possibility. The sanctuary was adorned with relics of the dream market, a silver locket once exchanged for a cherished memory, fragments of shimmering mist encased in delicate glass, and faded scrolls bearing mystical inscriptions. Each artifact was a testament to the transformative power of dreams, a reminder that the intangible could be made real through love, courage, and a willingness to let go. Young and old gathered here, and every twilight, as the sky deepened into indigo, the community would venture together to the outskirts of Aurora's edge. There, beneath the same starlit heavens that had once witnessed the birth of the Twilight Way, they celebrated the beauty of dreams, both reclaimed and yet to be discovered. In every shared story, every tear of remembrance, in every burst of laughter, the legacy of the dream market lived on. In the quiet moments of every sunset, when the boundary between day and night blurred into possibility, the spirit of the bazaar of slumbering whispers could still be felt. It was said that those with open hearts might catch a glimpse of a shimmering path leading to a world where dreams traded like precious gems still lingered in the air. A reminder that the magic of transformation was always within reach. Eleanor, now an elder with silvered hair and eyes that sparkled with the wisdom of countless nights, would sit by her window and gaze at the horizon. In the soft glow of dusk, she could almost hear the echoes of the market's distant laughter and feel the tender pulse of dreams long past and yet to come. For in every heart lay the power to dream, a force as boundless and mysterious as the stars themselves. Thus, the tale of the market that traded in dreams endured, a timeless saga of hope, transformation, and the eternal dance between longing and fulfillment. In every whispered promise, every heartfelt bargain, and every dream woven into the tapestry of life, the legacy of the dream market shone like a beacon, guiding all who dared to believe that even the most fleeting visions could light the way to a brighter tomorrow. And so, beneath the vast expanse of an ever-changing sky, the bazaar of slumbering whispers remained, a magical realm where dreams were not lost to the night, but nurtured into the dawn of endless possibility. It began on an overcast autumn afternoon when a peculiar letter arrived at the modest home of Jonathan Marlowe, a quiet man with an unquenchable curiosity for the obscure. The envelope was made of heavy parchment, sealed with a crest he did not recognize. The letter, written in elegant, flowing script, invited him to spend a fortnight at Blackwood Mansion, a grand estate reputed to be home to endless halls and hidden wonders. Although Jonathan's life had been one of routine and modest dreams, the allure of mystery stirred something deep within him. He recalled childhood tales of enchanted mansions and secret passageways, and felt almost as if by destiny that his life was about to change forever. With little more than a suitcase, a notebook, and a heart filled with cautious excitement, Jonathan set off on a journey that would lead him to a mansion where the very walls seemed to breathe stories of the past. The mansion loomed before him like a monument from another time. Its exterior was a tapestry of crumbling stone and ivy, yet there was a strange, unyielding majesty in its design. As he stepped through the heavy oak front doors, a chill ran down his spine. Inside, the foyer stretched out into darkness, lit only by the flicker of a few ancient candelabras. The vast entry hall led to a series of corridors that seemed to vanish into infinity, a place where the passage of time and space became as fluid as the shifting shadows on the walls. Jonathan felt as though he had crossed a threshold into a realm that existed between reality and dreams. Every footstep echoed softly, and the silence that greeted him was filled with the promise of secrets waiting to be unveiled. There was no one to greet him, yet he sensed a presence, a watchful guardian of the mansion's mysteries, as if the very air was alive with whispered stories. With a lantern in hand and his curiosity as his guide, Jonathan began to explore the mansion's interior. At first, the corridors were magnificent, hallways lined with portraits of long-departed ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow his every move, walls adorned with intricate carvings and tapestries that depicted scenes of forgotten grandeur. Yet the deeper he ventured, the more surreal his surroundings became. Passageways turned into labyrinths, and doorways opened into rooms that defied explanation. An opulent ballroom frozen in a state of eerie stillness, a library with shelves that stretched into a dark, unseen distance, and hidden staircases that spiraled upward and downward into unknown depths. No matter which corridor he chose, Jonathan soon realized that the halls were endless. They twisted and forked, sometimes looping back upon themselves in a maddening repetition, other times disappearing into archways that led to entirely new realms of light and shadow. His footsteps echoed in the vast emptiness, mingling with soft murmurs that he could not quite place. It was as though the mansion itself was speaking, a gentle, persistent whisper that beckoned him to delve deeper into its secrets. One foggy night, as Jonathan rested in a small, dusty sitting room that seemed suspended in time, he began to notice strange sounds, subtle, murmuring whispers that drifted along the halls. At first, they were barely audible, like the rustle of old paper or the soft sigh of wind through forgotten corridors. But gradually, the whispers grew clearer. They carried fragments of voices, half-remembered phrases that spoke of love lost, battles fought, and secrets buried in the depths of the mansion's long history. Compelled by the sound, Jonathan followed the voices to a secluded alcove near a grand arched window. There, in the flickering candlelight, he discovered a dusty portrait of a young woman with sorrowful eyes. As he gazed upon her face, the whispers coalesced into a single, clear voice. "Remember me?" The plea resonated with an inexplicable familiarity, stirring emotions within him that he could not quite define. Had he known her in a past life? Was her memory calling to him from the depths of the mansion's endless corridors? The questions swirled in his mind as he vowed to uncover the identity of the mysterious figure and the secrets that haunted these walls. In his quest for answers, Jonathan soon encountered an enigmatic figure known as Miss Adeline, the mansion's resident caretaker. With her silver hair neatly pulled back and eyes that shone with quiet wisdom, Adeline had served Blackwood Mansion for as long as anyone could remember. When Jonathan first met her in the library, a vast room where books seemed to glow with their own inner light, she regarded him with a mixture of kindness and guarded caution. "Not many choose to wander these halls," she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of a lifetime spent in this labyrinth of memories. "Blackwood is not merely a mansion. It is a living archive of every soul who has ever passed through its doors." Adeline explained that the mansion was built in an age when architecture and magic were intertwined. It was designed to be ever-changing, to evolve with the memories of its inhabitants, so that the halls would never truly end, but would instead carry the echoes of countless lives. She warned Jonathan that the mansion could reveal both beauty and sorrow, joy and regret, a place where the past and present converged in the intricate tapestry of endless corridors. "Be cautious," she advised, "for the halls will show you what you need to see, and sometimes that truth may be more than you wish to bear." Determined to learn more about the mansion's history and the voices that haunted its halls, Jonathan began to delve into its archives. Guided by Adeline, he discovered secret rooms filled with old diaries, faded letters, and brittle photographs chronicling the lives of the mansion's former residents. Each document told a story of love and loss, triumph and tragedy, and together they formed a mosaic of the mansion's long and storied past. Late into many nights, Jonathan would sit by a roaring fireplace in a grand, dusty salon, poring over the records while the mansion's corridors whispered around him. He learned of a grand ball held in the mansion many decades ago, a night of unparalleled splendor that ended in a sudden, mysterious disappearance. He read of forbidden romances and unfulfilled dreams, of family feuds and secret passages built to hide scandal. With each revelation, the mansion's infinite halls seemed to pulse with renewed life, as if the walls themselves were eager to share the stories they had silently witnessed. One diary, in particular, belonged to a man named Charles Blackwood, a descendant of the mansion's original builders, whose writings spoke of an eternal hall that would reveal itself only when the heart was open to the truth. Charles wrote of corridors that could lead one to both salvation and despair, and of a secret chamber at the very heart of the mansion where the ultimate truth of its existence was said to be hidden. Jonathan felt that his own journey was intertwined with these long-forgotten memories, that by uncovering the mansion's deepest secret, he might also find meaning in his own life. As the days bled into weeks and Jonathan's exploration of the mansion deepened, he began to experience strange phenomena. The halls, which had always seemed infinite, now took on a surreal quality at night. Under the glow of moonlight filtered through tall, narrow windows, the corridors stretched out like a labyrinth with no beginning or end. Shadows moved independently of their sources, and sometimes he swore he saw the distant outline of a door that led nowhere, only to find that the passage behind it vanished into darkness. During one such night, as Jonathan wandered the seemingly endless halls, he encountered a series of mirrors mounted on the walls. In each reflection, he saw fleeting images of himself, sometimes older, sometimes younger, sometimes smiling, sometimes weeping. These reflections, he realized, were not merely his own, but the accumulated echoes of all who had walked these corridors before him. The mirrors whispered fragments of forgotten lives, urging him to confront the truths hidden within his own soul. It was a moment of profound revelation, a realization that the mansion's endless halls were a mirror of the human condition, an endless journey of self-discovery, where every turn led to both revelation and introspection. Driven by the growing need to uncover the mansion's ultimate secret, Jonathan followed the clues left behind in Charles Blackwood's diary. Late one stormy night, when thunder rattled the ancient glass and rain beat a frantic rhythm against the windows, he found himself drawn to a narrow, hidden corridor behind a tattered tapestry in the manor's west wing. The passage was barely wide enough to walk through, its walls lined with faded inscriptions and mysterious symbols. With each cautious step, the air grew thicker with anticipation, as though the very stones were imbued with the memories of 1,000 souls. At the end of this hidden corridor, Jonathan discovered a massive, ornately carved door. The diary had hinted that beyond this door lay the chamber of eternal truth, a room where the endless halls converged into a single, radiant space that held the key to understanding the mansion's mysterious nature. With trembling hands, he pushed open the door. What he found beyond was breathtaking, an expansive hall bathed in a soft, ethereal glow that seemed to emanate from the very air. The room was filled with countless doorways and archways, each leading to unknown passages. In the center, a towering crystalline column pulsed with an inner light, casting intricate patterns on the floor. In that moment, Jonathan understood that the mansion was not a prison of stone and shadow, but a living, breathing entity, a repository of all human memories and emotions, woven into its endless halls. The crystalline column, he felt, was the heart of the mansion, a focal point where every whispered secret and every forgotten story converged. It was here that the true meaning of the endless corridors would be revealed. As Jonathan stood before the radiant column, the voices of the mansion grew louder, a symphony of murmurs, laughter, and sorrow that filled the chamber with the weight of countless lives. The crystalline heart pulsed in time with his own heartbeat, and in its light he saw visions, moments of ecstasy and despair, love and loss, all interwoven into the tapestry of the mansion's history. He saw the faces of those who had built, lived in, and left the mansion, each one a part of the endless cycle of existence. Their voices spoke of a truth that transcended the physical confines of the estate, a truth that all journeys, no matter how winding, ultimately lead back to the self. In that profound moment, Jonathan felt his own life transformed. The endless halls had shown him that every person carried within them an infinite labyrinth of memories and dreams, a mansion of the heart that was never truly complete, but always evolving. With newfound clarity, he realized that the mansion's endless corridors were a metaphor for life itself, a journey with no final destination, where every step taken was both an ending and a beginning. When dawn finally broke over Blackwood Mansion, Jonathan emerged from its depths forever changed. The endless halls, which had once seemed a source of both wonder and trepidation, now appeared as a cherished part of the mansion's living legacy, a reminder that life was a continuous journey of discovery. As he stepped out into the crisp morning air, the light of day mingled with the lingering echoes of the night, and he carried with him the wisdom of the mansion's eternal truth. Back in the village, Jonathan shared his experiences with those who had once dismissed the mansion as a relic of forgotten times. His story, filled with mystery, introspection, and hope, inspired others to embrace their own journeys of self-discovery. Over time, Blackwood Mansion became a symbol of endless possibility, a place where people came not only to marvel at its architectural wonders, but also to explore the labyrinths of their own hearts. Years later, as the seasons turned and Blackwood Mansion aged gracefully beneath the endless sky, the legend of its infinite halls lived on. Scholars wrote treatises on its mysterious architecture. Poets composed verses about its corridors of memory, and visitors, both near and far, left with a newfound understanding of the inexhaustible journey that is life. Jonathan, now an elder with a gentle smile and eyes that held the calm of countless sunsets, often sat by the mansion's ancient fountain. In its murmuring waters, he saw reflections of the endless halls, a symbol of the eternal search for truth and beauty. He knew that the mansion's true magic was not confined to its stone walls, but resided in every heart that dared to wander, to question, and to dream. Thus ends the tale of the mansion where the halls never end, a story of mystery, introspection, and the timeless journey of the human spirit. In every twisting corridor, every whisper of memory, and every step taken into the unknown, we are reminded that the path of life is eternal, and that within each of us lies a mansion of endless possibility, waiting to be explored. Evelyn Hart, a young archivist with an insatiable curiosity for history, had long been fascinated by legends of lost knowledge. Raised on bedtime stories of mystical libraries and enchanted books, she spent her early years dreaming of discovering a place where the past spoke directly to those who would listen. It was on an autumn afternoon when the leaves danced in golden sunlight and the air was heavy with the scent of rain and old paper, that Evelyn stumbled upon a narrow cobbled lane she had never seen before. At its end stood the library, a towering structure that seemed to beckon her with an almost imperceptible pulse of light. Drawn by a sense of destiny, Evelyn pushed open the creaking door. Inside the library was a world apart from the clamor of modern life. Dust motes floated in beams of soft light, and rows upon rows of ancient volumes filled towering shelves. But it was the sound, a subtle, melodic murmur, that made her pause. As she wandered deeper, she realized that the books themselves were speaking. Pages rustled in gentle conversation, and voices, as clear as if spoken aloud, whispered fragments of forgotten tales. In that enchanted moment, Evelyn knew that her life was about to change forever. Within the library's heart lived an elderly man known simply as Mr. Alcott, the keeper of memories. With kind, knowing eyes and a quiet manner, he had tended to the library for decades, preserving its secrets and guiding those who sought its wisdom. When Evelyn first encountered him amid the labyrinth of bookcases, he greeted her with a soft smile and a nod, as if he had been expecting her all along. Every book here has a story not only in its pages, but in its soul, Mr. Alcott explained in a gentle tone. They whisper to us because they remember. They remember what once was, what might have been, and what must never be forgotten. He guided Evelyn through the hushed halls, sharing tales of how the library had come to be. According to him, long ago a wise scholar had enchanted the books to safeguard the collective memories of the town. With each passing generation, as memories faded from the minds of the people, the books would whisper them back, offering solace, counsel, and sometimes a call to action. Mr. Alcott's words resonated deeply with Evelyn, igniting within her an even greater determination to unravel the library's mysteries. Late one evening, as a soft rain pattered against stained glass windows and the library settled into a contemplative silence, Evelyn decided to follow a particularly distinct whisper. It was a gentle, rhythmic murmur that seemed to come from a secluded alcove tucked between towering shelves. Approaching with quiet trepidation, she discovered an ancient leather-bound book, its cover embossed with intricate symbols that glowed faintly in the candlelight. As she opened the book, a rush of voices filled her ears, a chorus of memories and voices from long ago. In that moment, Evelyn experienced a vision. She saw scenes of a bygone era, bustling markets, joyful celebrations, and solemn farewells under starlit skies. Faces of people she had never known smiled and wept, and each emotion was as vivid as if she were living it herself. The whisper was not random noise. It was a carefully woven tapestry of the past, each thread a moment that had been preserved within the pages of that singular volume. Overwhelmed by the beauty and weight of these memories, Evelyn realized that the library was more than a building. It was a living chronicle of her town's soul. Determined to understand the magic that animated the library, Evelyn dedicated herself to exploring every corner of its vast collection. Late nights turned into early mornings as she pored over ancient manuscripts, forgotten journals, and diaries whose ink had faded with time. She discovered that the whispering was not confined to one section, but permeated the entire library. Every shelf, every nook, every solitary volume seemed to harbor its own story, its own unique voice. In one secluded corner, behind a hidden door carved into the woodwork, Evelyn found a room known as the Archive of Lost Voices. Here, the books were bound in unusual fabrics, and the whispers grew more distinct, each one carefully recounting tales of lost love, courage in the face of despair, and even warnings of coming perils. It was as though the books had become custodians of secrets too precious to be left in silence. Each discovery brought Evelyn closer to understanding that these whispers were not mere echoes of the past, but messages meant to guide the present and shape the future. One day, while transcribing the delicate script of an illuminated manuscript, Evelyn noticed a curious annotation in the margin. Written in a flowing hand, the note read, "Seek the tome of twilight, where memories awaken and truth reveals itself." Intrigued, she began searching for any reference to a tome of twilight among the library's vast collection. Days turned into weeks as she scoured dusty volumes, deciphering cryptic clues hidden within the text. Finally, in the deepest recesses of the Archive of Lost Voices, she uncovered an inconspicuous volume bound in deep blue velvet. Its pages, edged in silver, contain the title, Tales of the Dusk, a Chronicle of Forgotten Dreams. As soon as Evelyn opened the book, A palpable warmth spread through her body. The whispers around her deepened, forming coherent words and phrases that seemed to emerge directly from the book's narrative. She read of a time when the library was not only a keeper of memories, but a beacon of truth, a time when every forgotten dream was given new life. The tome hinted at an ancient ritual that could awaken lost memories and restore hope to those who had long since forgotten their past. It was a revelation that filled her with both awe and urgency. Guided by the mysterious tome, Evelyn resolved to perform the ancient ritual it described, a ritual said to unlock the full power of the Whispering Books. With Mr. Alcott's blessing and the help of a few trusted colleagues, she gathered the required elements. A chalice of spring water collected at dawn, a quill made from a rare midnight feathered bird, and a candle whose flame burned with a soft, unwavering glow. The ritual was to be performed at midnight, beneath the watchful gaze of a full moon in the heart of the library's central hall. On the appointed night, as the library's ancient clock chimed softly in the background, Evelyn and her companions arranged the ritual in a circle around the grand mirror that reflected the vast stacks. She recited incantations written in the archaic language of the tome, her voice merging with the soft, persistent whispers of the books. With each word spoken, the air seemed to vibrate with a deep, resonant hum, a sound that was both otherworldly and deeply familiar. As the final phrase left her lips, a brilliant light filled the room. The book shuddered as if awakening from a long slumber, and the whispers crescendoed into a harmonious chorus. In that transcendent moment, Evelyn felt a surge of clarity and understanding. The memories of the town, of people long forgotten, and of dreams lost to the ravages of time flowed into her like a river of light. It was as though the library itself was sharing its soul, entrusting her with its sacred legacy. In the days following the ritual, the entire library seemed to pulse with renewed life. The once muted whispers now carried a clarity that resonated with the hearts of all who entered. Visitors found themselves inexplicably moved by the stories that seemed to leap from the pages, and even those who had long since forgotten the pain of the past discovered solace in the gentle murmur of shared memories. Word of the library's transformation spread throughout the town, and Blackwater Manor, once a quiet, secluded haven of knowledge, became a vibrant center of community and healing. People came not only to borrow books, but to reconnect with their own histories. Families sat together in quiet reading rooms, poring over ancestral diaries and sharing stories that had been locked away for generations. The library had become a sanctuary where the past was honored and the future was reimagined. Evelyn, now revered as both an archivist and a healer, continued her work with tireless devotion. She recorded the experiences of those who had been touched by the Whispering Books, preserving their stories in a new volume that would one day join the ranks of the enchanted tomes. In her journal, she wrote of how every whisper was a reminder that no memory was ever truly lost. As long as there were hearts willing to listen, every forgotten dream could be awakened once more. As the years passed, the legend of the Library of Whispering Books grew into a cherished heritage. Scholars traveled from distant lands to study its enchanted collection, while poets and artists found endless inspiration in its gentle murmur. The library became a bridge between generations, a place where the stories of yesteryear were interwoven with the hopes of tomorrow. The volume that Evelyn had discovered, Tales of the Dusk, a chronicle of forgotten dreams, became a centerpiece of the collection. It was studied, interpreted, and reinterpreted by those who sought to understand the delicate interplay between memory and magic. New rituals were devised, and the library's enchanted whispers continued to guide the lives of the town's inhabitants. It was said that if one listened closely on a still night, the books would not only whisper the stories of the past, but also reveal glimpses of the future, a promise that the cycle of memory was eternal, and that every ending was but a prelude to a new beginning. One crisp winter evening, as snow gently blanketed the grounds of Blackwater Manor, Evelyn found herself drawn once again to the grand mirror that hung in the central hall. The mirror had long been a silent witness to the library's secrets, reflecting the interplay of light and shadow across the rows of ancient tomes. That night, as the candles burned low and the whispers softened to a tender lullaby, she gazed deeply into its reflective surface. In the mirror's depths, she saw not only her own face, but also fragments of every life that had ever passed through the library's halls. Faces of ancestors and strangers alike merged in a timeless mosaic, each contributing their own story to the collective memory. In that quiet moment, Evelyn understood that the library's true magic lay not in its enchanted books alone, but in the shared humanity that connected them all. Every whispered memory, every carefully preserved word was a thread in the vast tapestry of life, a tapestry that bound the past to the present and wove the promise of the future. Now, as twilight falls on Blackwater Manor and the stars emerge to crown the night, the Library of Whispering Books continues to enchant all who enter its sacred halls. Its whispers are a constant reminder that every story matters, that even forgotten memories hold the power to heal, inspire, and transform. Evelyn's legacy endures in the countless lives she touched, in the pages of newly written chronicles, and in the soft, persistent murmur of books that never truly sleep. For in this library, every whisper is a promise that the past will never be lost, that every memory can be reclaimed, and that the heart of humanity beats on in every faded page. And so, beneath the gentle glow of candlelight and the watchful gaze of history, the library stands as a beacon, a sanctuary where the voices of the forgotten continue to whisper, inviting all who listen to embrace the beauty of their own stories. Thus ends the tale of the mirror that reflects forgotten memories, and of the library where the books whisper, a timeless saga of discovery, healing, and the enduring power of remembrance, echoing softly through the corridors of time. Long before modern inventions and digital clocks ruled the day, in a small village nestled among rolling hills and ancient forests, there lived a master watchmaker named Alaric. Renowned not only for his skill in crafting intricate gears and delicate springs, but also for his unyielding integrity, Alaric was a man of principle in a time when duplicity was all too common. It was said that one cold winter's night, as he labored over his finest creation in a workshop lit by a solitary candle, Alaric received a mysterious visitor. Draped in a cloak of midnight, the stranger spoke in riddles and revealed that the true measure of time was not in seconds or minutes, but in the honesty of one's heart. In that moment, Alaric vowed to create a timepiece that would serve as both a guardian and a guide, a watch that would stop ticking whenever a lie was told in its presence. After years of painstaking work and clandestine experiments with rare metals, enchanted crystals, and ancient incantations, Alaric finally completed the watch. Its face was a mesmerizing swirl of silver and onyx, and its hands moved with an almost imperceptible grace. More wondrous still, the watch's inner mechanism was enchanted so that the moment a falsehood was spoken within its vicinity, time would seemingly freeze, as if the very fabric of honesty demanded accountability. Thus, the Watch of Truth was born, its silent promise echoing the notion that truth once spoken would always be revealed. In the years following its creation, the Watch of Truth passed from hand to hand, its reputation growing with each new bearer. It was said that when the watch was in the presence of those who had nothing to hide, its ticking was steady and soothing, a constant reminder of the natural flow of time and the enduring virtue of truth. But when a lie was uttered, the hands of the watch would halt abruptly, its once unwavering rhythm replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to suspend the moment. The artifact eventually found its way to the household of the renowned scholar and philosopher, Miriam Hale. A woman of deep insight and unwavering moral conviction, Miriam cherished the watch as a talisman against deceit. In her study, amid shelves filled with ancient tomes and manuscripts, the watch was placed on a velvet cushion, a silent sentinel that bore witness to every conversation, every secret, every confession. It was in Miriam's presence that the watch's magic shone brightest. Its steady tick served as both a comfort and a warning, an ever-present reminder that truth was the bedrock upon which a just life was built. One fateful autumn evening, during a gathering at Miriam's estate, the watch of truth was inadvertently thrust into the center of a dramatic and unexpected confrontation. Guests from far and wide, scholars, merchants, and even local nobles, had come to her home to celebrate the harvest and share their news. As wine flowed and conversation ebbed and flowed in the flickering candlelight, tensions began to rise when a contentious debate over a disputed business deal turned sour. In the midst of the argument, one of the guests, a silver-tongued merchant named Cornelius, claimed that he had never misrepresented the quality of his wares, despite mounting evidence to the contrary. As he vehemently denied any wrongdoing, the watch of truth, hanging on a nearby mantle, stuttered. Its hands, once dancing in perfect harmony, suddenly froze in place, as if the very spirit of honesty had struck it silent. A hush fell over the room. Eyes widened and murmurs of astonishment rippled among the guests. Cornelius's face drained of color as he realized that the truth he had long evaded had been exposed by a simple, enchanted watch. The incident marked a turning point that evening. Although Cornelius later attempted to explain away the watch's silence as a mere coincidence, the damage was done. The room buzzed with whispers, and for many the event was a visceral reminder that the truth could not be hidden forever. The watch of truth had, for one brief moment, rendered the intangible burden of dishonesty visible to all. In the years that followed, the watch of truth continued to influence the lives of its bearers. Miriam Hale, now celebrated for her wisdom and integrity, became a steadfast advocate for truth in all its forms. Yet she soon discovered that the watch's magic was as much a burden as it was a blessing. While it could expose deceit and serve as a moral compass, it also revealed painful truths, hidden regrets, long-buried secrets, and uncomfortable realities that some would rather forget. Miriam herself experienced the bittersweet nature of the watch when a close friend, whom she deeply trusted, confessed that a cherished memory had been distorted to protect fragile feelings. As the lie was laid bare by the unyielding silence of the watch, Miriam felt a profound sadness, not only for the betrayal of trust, but for the inevitable pain of confronting memories that had been altered by falsehood. The watch taught her that while truth was a liberating force, it was also a force that demanded confrontation, acceptance, and sometimes heartache. Over time, stories emerged of how the watch changed lives. In some cases, its intervention led to reconciliation and healing. In others, it exposed truths that severed bonds irreparably. The artifact came to be known not only as a measure of time, but as a symbol of the relentless quest for authenticity, a reminder that even when the truth is painful, it is always worth seeking. As decades passed, the legend of the Watch of Truth grew into myth. It was passed down through families, its history woven into the fabric of local lore, and celebrated in ballads sung by bards in distant taverns. Some viewed the watch as a divine gift, a tool to safeguard the sanctity of honest discourse, while others saw it as a curse that would forever expose the frailties of the human spirit. Miriam Hale, now an elder with silver streaks gracing her once dark hair, became a revered figure in her community. In her twilight years, she penned memoirs, chronicling the many times the watch had intervened in moments of moral conflict. Her writing spoke of the joy that truth could bring, the catharsis of unburdening one's soul, and the enduring power of integrity. Yet they also recounted the deep sorrows that truth, in its unyielding clarity, could inflict. Through her words, future generations learned that truth was not a simple, binary concept, but a complex tapestry of light and shadow, a delicate balance between honesty and compassion. In time, the watch was enshrined in a glass case in the local museum, a historical relic imbued with both magic and meaning. Visitors marveled at its intricate design and the legends that surrounded it. Scholars debated its origins and the nature of its enchantment, and poets composed verses in its honor. Despite the passage of time, the watch remained a symbol of the eternal struggle between deception and truth, a silent reminder that, in the end, time itself yields to the inexorable force of honesty. In a world increasingly dominated by technology and ephemeral digital interactions, the story of the Watch of Truth resonated with renewed significance. In an era where misinformation could spread like wildfire and the boundaries between reality and illusion blurred, many looked to the ancient artifact as a metaphor for the timeless importance of integrity. Educators and leaders invoked its legend as a call to cultivate honesty in an age of complexity. Young people, disillusioned by the pervasive nature of deceit, found solace in the idea that truth, though sometimes painful, was a beacon to guide their lives. A new generation of storytellers emerged, reinterpreting the watch's myth through art, literature, and film. Its tale was adapted into plays and novels that explored the nature of truth, the beauty of vulnerability, and the courage required to face the consequences of dishonesty. In one such retelling, a modern-day detective used a digital Watch of Truth app to expose corruption in high places, a creative twist that honored the ancient legend while speaking to contemporary challenges. Through these artistic expressions, the watch's legacy was not only preserved, but revitalized, inspiring individuals to embrace authenticity and to seek out the truth in every facet of their lives. Now, as the world spins ever onward and the relentless march of time continues unabated, the story of the Watch of Truth endures, a timeless saga woven into the hearts of those who cherish honesty above all else. Though its magical mechanisms may belong to a bygone era, the watch's enduring message remains as relevant today as it was when Lord Aurelius first commissioned its creation. It reminds us that every second is precious, every word carries weight, and that in the stillness of a stopped moment, we can find the courage to confront the truth of our own existence. In quiet moments of reflection, when we pause to listen to our hearts and the silent ticking of time, we may glimpse the legacy of that extraordinary artifact. For in the mirror of time, every lie is fleeting, and every truth, no matter how painful, echoes with the promise of redemption. And so, the Watch of Truth stands as a beacon, inviting us to live with integrity, to value the honesty of our words, and to embrace the beautiful, if sometimes arduous, journey toward a life that is genuine and unburdened. Thus ends the tale of the watch that stops when someone lies, a story of magic and morality, of moments frozen by truth, and of the eternal dance between deception and honesty. In every tick and every pause, the legacy of the watch whispers a timeless truth, that honesty, however difficult, is the only currency that truly transcends time. Long before the modern world set its rhythms by the rising and setting sun, ancient myths spoke of a time when light and dark coexisted in perfect harmony. In those primordial days, nature was governed not only by the bright clarity of day, but also by the enigmatic allure of night. It was during this era that the seed of the midnight bloom was sown, a seed that could only sprout in the absence of sunlight. Legends tell of a celestial event, a night when the heavens wept silver dew and shadows gathered in reverence, when a solitary comet streaked across the sky, carrying with it an ethereal essence. As it passed overhead, its luminescence dimmed, leaving behind a residue of ancient magic that seeped into the earth. In a secluded glen deep within an enchanted forest, the first midnight bloom took root. Over millennia, this seed of darkness gave rise to a garden unlike any other, a living tapestry where flora thrived in the cool, quiet embrace of night. In the heart of an ancient forest, beyond the well-trodden paths of mortal men, lay the hidden grove where the garden blossomed. Locals whispered about this place, a mystical clearing shrouded in perpetual twilight, where the ordinary laws of nature were suspended. It was said that the grove could only be found by those with a pure heart and an unyielding curiosity, for the path there was woven with riddles and guarded by creatures of the dark. Elders in nearby villages recalled encountering strange, phosphorescent lights drifting among the trees and hearing the soft, musical hum of leaves that seemed to sing a lullaby to the night. Travelers who claimed to have glimpsed the grove described it as a realm where the air was thick with the perfume of rare blossoms, and the ground was carpeted with velvety moss that sparkled under the light of countless stars. Here, every plant and flower appeared to have been sculpted by moonlight itself. Delicate petals glimmered like fragments of the night sky, and vines wound in intricate patterns, as if mapping the constellations above. Every enchanted realm has its guardian, and the Garden of Midnight Bloom was no exception. Deep within the grove, hidden in a modest stone cottage entwined with ivy and illuminated by the gentle glow of bioluminescent fungi, lived an enigmatic figure known only as Leora, with silvered hair that cascaded like moonbeams and eyes reflecting the endless night. Leora was the keeper of the garden, a steward chosen by fate to nurture the delicate balance between darkness and growth. Leora's origins were as mysterious as the garden itself. Some believed she was born under a rare lunar eclipse, destined to walk the boundary between light and shadow. Others whispered that she was the reincarnation of an ancient moon deity, sent to guide the garden through the passage of time. Whatever her past, Leora understood the secret of the garden. Its life force was drawn from the absence of the sun, from the quiet majesty of the night. Every blossom in the garden was imbued with the power of darkness, its beauty unfolding only when the world slept. Its scent a subtle reminder of dreams and forgotten sorrows. Each night, as the first star appeared and the twilight deepened, Leora would tend to the garden with gentle care. She sang old lullabies in a language lost to time, her voice a soft murmur that blended with a nocturnal chorus. In return, the garden flourished. Vines twined gracefully, flowers opened like delicate secrets, and even the roughest of stones seemed to shimmer with an inner light. In this magical symbiosis, the garden and its keeper became one, a living embodiment of the night's quiet promise. For all its beauty, the garden that grew only in darkness was not without its perils. The very magic that allowed life to bloom in the absence of light also attracted forces both benevolent and malevolent. As word of the enchanted garden spread beyond the hidden glen, seekers of power and riches began to search for its elusive sanctuary. Rumors spoke of miraculous cures and eternal youth derived from the midnight bloom, drawing the greedy and the desperate alike. One fateful night, as a crescent moon hung low in the sky and a chill wind whispered of change, a band of mercenaries arrived at the edge of the forest. They were led by a ruthless sorcerer whose ambition was matched only by his cruelty. Determined to seize the garden's magic, he sought to force Leora to reveal its secrets. Under the cover of darkness, the mercenaries set traps and laid snares among the trees, their torches casting frantic, flickering shadows across the forest floor. Leora, ever vigilant, sensed the disturbance. With a heart heavy with sorrow yet steeled by duty, she summoned the ancient spirits of the grove, phantom lights, spectral animals, and the very echoes of the night itself. The garden responded in kind. Vines writhed like living serpents, and blossoms released clouds of shimmering pollen that confounded the intruders. Long before the modern world set its rhythms by the rising and setting sun, Ancient myths spoke of a time when light and dark coexisted in perfect harmony. In those primordial days, nature was governed not only by the bright clarity of day, but also by the enigmatic allure of night. It was during this era that the seed of the midnight bloom was sown, a seed that could only sprout in the absence of sunlight. Legends tell of a celestial event, a night when the heavens wept silver dew and shadows gathered in reverence, when a solitary comet streaked across the sky, carrying with it an ethereal essence. As it passed overhead, its luminescence dimmed, leaving behind a residue of ancient magic that seeped into the earth. In a secluded glen deep within an enchanted forest, the first midnight bloom took root. Over millennia, this seed of darkness gave rise to a garden unlike any other, a living tapestry where flora thrived in the cool, quiet embrace of night. In the heart of an ancient forest, beyond the well-trodden paths of mortal men, lay the hidden grove where the garden blossomed. Locals whispered about this place, a mystical clearing shrouded in perpetual twilight, where the ordinary laws of nature were suspended. It was said that the grove could only be found by those with a pure heart and an unyielding curiosity, for the path there was woven with riddles and guarded by creatures of the dark. Elders in nearby villages recalled encountering strange, phosphorescent lights drifting among the trees and hearing the soft, musical hum of leaves that seemed to sing a lullaby to the night. Travelers who claimed to have glimpsed the grove described it as a realm where the air was thick with the perfume of rare blossoms and the ground was carpeted with velvety moss that sparkled under the light of countless stars. Here, every plant and flower appeared to have been sculpted by moonlight itself. Delicate petals glimmered like fragments of the night sky, and vines wound in intricate patterns, as if mapping the constellations above. Every enchanted realm has its guardian, and the Garden of Midnight Bloom was no exception. Deep within the grove, hidden in a modest stone cottage entwined with ivy and illuminated by the gentle glow of bioluminescent fungi, lived an enigmatic figure known only as Leora. With silvered hair that cascaded like moonbeams and eyes reflecting the endless night, Leora was the keeper of the garden, a steward chosen by fate to nurture the delicate balance between darkness and growth. Leora's origins were as mysterious as the garden itself. Some believed she was born under a rare lunar eclipse, destined to walk the boundary between light and shadow. Others whispered that she was the reincarnation of an ancient moon deity sent to guide the garden through the passage of time. Whatever her past, Leora understood the secret of the garden. Its life force was drawn from the absence of the sun, from the quiet majesty of the night. Every blossom in the garden was imbued with the power of darkness, its beauty unfolding only when the world slept, its scent a subtle reminder of dreams and forgotten sorrows. Each night, as the first star appeared and the twilight deepened, Leora would tend to the garden with gentle care. She sang old lullabies in a language lost to time, her voice a soft murmur that blended with the nocturnal chorus. In return, the garden flourished. Vines twined gracefully, flowers opened like delicate secrets, and even the roughest of stones seemed to shimmer with an inner light. In this magical symbiosis, the garden and its keeper became one, a living embodiment of the night's quiet promise. For all its beauty, the garden that grew only in darkness was not without its perils. The very magic that allowed life to bloom in the absence of light also attracted forces both benevolent and malevolent. As word of the enchanted garden spread beyond the hidden glen, seekers of power and riches began to search for its elusive sanctuary. Rumors spoke of miraculous cures and eternal youth derived from the midnight bloom, drawing the greedy and the desperate alike. One fateful night, as a crescent moon hung low in the sky and a chill wind whispered of change, a band of mercenaries arrived at the edge of the forest. They were led by a ruthless sorcerer whose ambition was matched only by his cruelty. Determined to seize the garden's magic, he sought to force Leora to reveal its secrets. Under the cover of darkness, the mercenaries set traps and laid snares among the trees, their torches casting frantic, flickering shadows across the forest floor. Leora, ever vigilant, sensed the disturbance. With a heart heavy with sorrow, yet steeled by duty, she summoned the ancient spirits of the grove, phantom lights, spectral animals, and the very echoes of the night itself. The garden responded in kind. Vines writhed like living serpents, and blossoms released clouds of shimmering pollen that confounded the intruders. The participants, eyes closed and hearts open, would follow her into the depths of the garden, where each soul was invited to embrace its inner darkness, and in that acceptance, find the seed of new growth. It was said that by the end of the night, many emerged transformed, lighter, more courageous, and imbued with the unspoken promise that even in the darkest soil, life could flourish. Years turned into decades, and the Garden of Midnight Bloom came to symbolize something far greater than its own mysterious beauty. It became a living metaphor for the human condition, proof that life does not depend solely on the presence of light, but can thrive in the quiet, hidden spaces of darkness. Leora continued her watchful stewardship, her wisdom deepening with every passing season. The pilgrims who ventured into the grove carried with them not only memories of wondrous blooms, but also lessons of resilience and transformation. Rowan's poems, inspired by his nights amid the midnight blossoms, became timeless verses recited by those who believed in the transformative power of embracing one's shadows. The sanctuary established near the grove evolved into a small retreat, a haven where weary souls could rest, heal, and rediscover the beauty in their own darkness. Workshops on healing arts, poetry readings, and quiet meditations under starlit skies became the norm, forging a community bound by the shared understanding that even in the deepest darkness, a garden of hope could bloom. On a particularly still night, when the air was heavy with the perfume of midnight blossoms and the sky was a tapestry of constellations, Leora sat at the edge of the grove. In the quiet, her eyes traced the delicate outlines of the heart of midnight, and she felt the timeless pulse of nature, a rhythm that whispered of loss and rebirth, sorrow and joy. She knew that the garden was not merely a physical space, but a state of being, a reminder that every heart has its hidden sanctuary where dreams are nurtured and hope takes root. In the gentle embrace of darkness, where fears are met with quiet strength and the unseen is honored, there exists the promise of renewal. Thus, the legend of the Garden of Midnight Bloom endures, a tale of a realm that thrives only in darkness, where beauty is born from the mysteries of night, and where every soul can find solace in the quiet magic of shadows. In the hearts of those who believe, the garden lives on, a perpetual testament to the enduring truth that even in our darkest moments, life and love can flourish. Beyond the borders of familiar lands where maps faded into myth, there stretched a vast expanse of woodland cloaked in perpetual twilight. Tall, gnarled trees formed a dense canopy overhead, filtering the sunlight into ghostly beams that danced upon the forest floor. It was a place where nature held its breath, where even the rustle of leaves seemed muted, and the only sounds were the soft murmurs of an ancient earth. Yet what struck travelers most was the absence of song. In every glen and clearing, where one would expect a chorus of birds, there was only silence. A silence that carried with it a sense of loss and yearning. Local villagers in the neighboring hamlet of Briar Glen spoke in hushed tones about the forest. They recalled a time, passed down through generations, when vibrant bird calls filled the air, turning the woods into a living symphony of sound. Over time, however, those voices had been silenced, leaving behind an oppressive quiet. Some said the forest itself mourned, its silence a reflection of sorrow too deep for mortal hearts. Ancient lore attributed the forest's silence to a sorrowful curse, a calamity born of human folly and nature's retribution. Centuries ago, during a season of unprecedented abundance, the land was a paradise where birds soared, their songs a daily celebration of life. But greed and hubris led the people to exploit the forest bounty without regard for balance. In their insatiable quest for wealth, they ravaged the woodland, stripping it of its natural splendor and breaking the ancient covenant between humanity and nature. As the final act of defiance against this desecration, a powerful enchantress, once a guardian of the wild, cast a spell upon the forest. Her lament, heavy with grief and the desire to reclaim a lost harmony, silenced the birds forever. The curse was not one of malice, but of mourning, a sorrowful reminder that nature's gifts must be treated with reverence. From that day forward, the forest remained mute, a living relic of regret and a silent witness to the folly of man. Among those who grew up hearing the legends of the Silence Forest was a young wanderer named Elias. Born in the humble village of Briar Glen, Elias's heart had always been drawn to the mysteries of nature. In his youth, he remembered faint echoes of song carried on the wind, as if the forest itself whispered of times long past. The absence of birdsong filled him with a bittersweet longing, a yearning to hear once again the music that had been stolen from the world. Driven by a desire to break the ancient curse, Elias set out on a journey into the heart of the forest of silent echoes. With little more than a satchel of provisions, a journal to record his discoveries, and an unwavering hope kindled by the stories of old, he ventured into the dense, shadowed woodland. The path was treacherous and overgrown, each step laden with both wonder and apprehension. Yet Elias pressed on, convinced that somewhere within the forest lay the key to restoring its lost melody. As Elias delved deeper into the forest, the oppressive silence enveloped him. At first, he found the quiet eerie, as if the forest were holding its breath in anticipation. Days passed, and he began to notice subtle signs that the forest was not entirely devoid of life. Faint trails led to moss-covered glens, and delicate wildflowers bloomed in secret clearings. In these hidden pockets, Elias encountered remnants of a forgotten era, a rusted wind chime suspended from a branch, the delicate imprint of a bird's footprint pressed into soft earth, and even whispers of a melody that might have been carried on the breeze. One evening, as dusk fell and the forest transformed into a realm of silvered shadows, Elias stumbled upon an ancient stone circle. At its center stood a withered tree, its gnarled branches reaching skyward like silent hands yearning for lost voices. There, etched into the stone, were words in a language long forgotten, hinting at a ritual of renewal, a way to lift the curse and summon back the songs of the birds. Elias, his heart pounding with both trepidation and hope, resolved to decipher these inscriptions. He spent many nights under the pale light of the moon, transcribing the symbols into his journal, his determination growing with each passing moment. During one particularly still night, as Elias sat by a small, murky pond reflecting the silver gleam of the moon, he felt a presence near him. The air grew cooler, and the silence was punctuated by a soft, melodic hum. Not a bird song, but something else, a gentle vibration of the earth. From the shadows emerged a figure, ethereal and luminous, as if carved from the very essence of the forest. This being, known as Nerea, was the spirit of the woods, a guardian tasked with preserving the balance of nature and mourning the loss of its song. With eyes that held the sorrow of ages, Nerea spoke in a voice like the rustling of leaves in a quiet wind. "Why do you seek to break the silence, traveler?" she asked. Elias, overcome with both awe and respect, explained his desire to restore the forest's lost melody, a melody that had once brought joy to both nature and mankind. Nerea listened, her expression a blend of compassion and melancholy. She revealed that the curse was not easily undone. It was bound to the very soul of the forest, woven into its roots and branches. Yet she also sensed the purity of Elias's heart and his unwavering determination. Perhaps, she murmured, there is a way to awaken what has been long forgotten. But the journey will demand sacrifice, understanding, and the willingness to embrace both light and darkness. Guided by Neria, Elias began the arduous process of unraveling the mystery of the ancient inscriptions. Together, they gathered rare herbs that thrived in the forest's shadow depths, collected dew from the petals of moon-blooming flowers, and even obtained a shard of obsidian from a fallen meteorite, a relic said to be imbued with celestial energy. Each component of the ritual was essential, a piece of the puzzle that would allow the curse to be lifted. On a night when the moon hung low and full, casting elongated shadows across the forest floor, Elias and Neria assembled at the ancient stone circle. The air was thick with anticipation as the forest itself seemed to lean in, listening to the hushed cadence of the ritual. Elias arranged the sacred ingredients in a circle around the withered tree, following the patterns described in the forgotten inscriptions. With careful precision, he recited the incantations that echoed the longing of 1,000 silenced voices. As his voice resonated through the still night, the ground trembled softly and a gentle glow began to emanate from the circle. The tree at the center shuddered, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, its gnarled bark began to soften. From its branches, delicate buds emerged, buds that pulsed with a soft inner light, as if imbued with the promise of a future song. In that moment, the forest stirred. The oppressive silence began to wane, replaced by the tentative murmur of life reawakening. Dawn broke the following day, but it was unlike any dawn that had preceded it in the cursed forest. As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the canopy, they illuminated a scene transformed. The once silent glades now hummed with a gentle, harmonious vibration, an echo of a song long buried beneath sorrow. High in the treetops, where silence had reigned for centuries, a single bird, its feathers iridescent and its eyes bright with newfound life, trilled a tentative note. It was a sound so delicate and pure that it seemed to carry the weight of a promise, a vow that the long-held silence was now breaking. Elias stood amidst the clearing, tears of joy streaming down his face as the forest slowly came alive with the sound of song. One by one, other birds emerged from their hidden nests, their voices joining in a soft symphony that filled the air with hope and renewal. The silence that had once defined the forest of silent echoes was receding, replaced by a melody that told a story of healing, transformation, and the eternal cycle of nature. News of the forest's miraculous rebirth spread swiftly to Briar Glen in the surrounding villages. Travelers and scholars journeyed to witness this wondrous transformation, and the once feared forest became a symbol of resilience and rebirth. Elders recounted the old tales of sorrow with a new perspective, and songs of the past were now sung in celebration of the forest's renewed spirit. Elias, having played a pivotal role in restoring the forest's lost song, became a revered figure among the people. He dedicated himself to preserving the natural harmony that had been so fragilely restored. Under the watchful guidance of Neria, he established a sanctuary at the edge of the forest, where the song of the birds was celebrated as both art and a sacred reminder of nature's capacity to heal. The sanctuary served as a gathering place for those who wished to learn the lessons of the woods, a place where music, poetry, and nature intertwined to honor the delicate balance of life. Years passed, and the Forest of Silent Echoes was reborn into a realm of vibrant life and song. Yet every so often, when dusk settled and shadows lengthened, a hint of that ancient silence could be felt. A reminder that the forest's sorrow was not forgotten, but had become part of its enduring history. Elias, now older and wiser, would often wander among the trees at twilight, listening to the soft chorus of birds while reflecting on the journey that had led to this renewal. In these quiet moments, he understood that silence, like music, was an essential part of nature's rhythm, a necessary pause that made the eventual song all the more precious. The forest had taught him that even in the deepest darkness, the seeds of hope could be sown, and with nurturing and understanding, life could blossom anew. The legend of the forest where no bird sang transformed into a timeless tale, a narrative of loss, redemption, and the indomitable spirit of nature. The forest of silent echoes, once cursed by sorrow and silenced by regret, had found its voice once more. It now stood as a testament to the power of transformation and the eternal promise that every silence harbors the potential for a new beginning. In the hearts of the people, the restored song of the forest became a cherished reminder that even in our darkest moments, beauty and hope can emerge. The legacy of Elias and Neria lived on in every trill and every whispered breeze that danced through the ancient trees. And as the sun dipped below the horizon each day, the forest, ever mindful of its past, welcomed the night with a quiet, profound gratitude, its renewed song echoing the timeless truth that even silence, when met with love and courage, can bloom into a symphony of life. Thus ends the tale of the forest where no bird sang, a saga of sorrow turned to song, of darkness yielding to light, and of the enduring promise that even in the deepest quiet, hope will find a way to sing.